Yo, everybody, what is good? Tuesday night, you know what that means. It's Flyers Talk A2D. Got some interesting conversations to have tonight. Yaroslav Askarov was traded a few days ago, signed to a 2-year contract with the San Jose Sharks. Did the Flyers miss out on an opportunity to get a franchise goalie? We're going to discuss that. And then related, we're also going to discuss the San Jose Sharks. Why? Because this team's future is absolutely bright. So we're going to discuss them in the second half. But as you guys all know what you need to do, you're going to hit that like, you're going to hit that subscribe, you're going to turn on your notifications, Facebook side, hit that share, Twitter, hit that retweet. Let's go. It's time to talk some hockey. Let's do it.
This is Flyers Talk A2D. We are powered by the doc. That is Dr. Paul Bidell at Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, with 2 locations in Burlington, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Check out our doc. Make them yours. Visit them at specializedphysicaltherapy.com. As you can see, Matt Studi is off this week, but we're hitting the ice strong with Brian Daly and Brad Ryer on the top line, centered by yours truly, Rob Povia. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe for notifications to all your favorite shows here on A2D Radio. Like Brian broke down, we're discussing the future of the San Jose Sharks later in the show. But first, were the Flyers ever truly in on Askarov? We want your opinion on our face-off poll, which is Danny Briere missed an opportunity to land a future franchise goalie in Yaroslav Askarov. Agree or disagree? We're going to be getting to all of your comments throughout tonight's podcast. Brian, the Sharks were able to land them a potential future franchise goalie. Did Danny B drop the ball?
I think he did. I do. And it's very rare that I say that because I have a lot of faith in Danny and what he's doing with this organization. He's done a great job pulling it back to where it is. I know there's some question marks this year, but pulled some magic, able to get Mitch Cobb over here, able to pull a couple other strings on some moves. Obviously nothing great, but enough to kind of keep some veteran leadership going. You dropped the ball big time. You got to make that call. You already know your situation with the goaltending is going to be shaky. Sam Errson, he's not a guy who's going to take the reins and run with them. Ivan Fedotov still has a lot to prove off his small sample size. You have a lot of unsure questions in goal. And to me, this kid's going to be a franchise goalie. He was projected to be a 3rd-round goaltender. He was the best goaltender in his draft by far. Nashville took him in the 1st round. I got to tell you, there was no leverage on Nashville's part here. The trade that San Jose made was undervalued in my opinion. I thought it was a great trade for both teams involved, but it was definitely undervalued. San Jose won this trade hands down, and it puts Askarov in a great opportunity to be a starting goaltender in a rebuilding franchise whose average age on offense is like 23 or 24. Yeah. This is a great situation. He's going to probably still be 2 or 3 years out from being a contender with the San Jose Sharks, and that's not necessarily his fault, but this guy's still a very young team, need to develop. But, Danny needed to make this call. I would have absolutely just checked in and said, yo, we're interested. We need goaltending help. What do you got? We can send you somebody. And they could have. Another goaltender went back in the deal anyway. So it was definitely a situation where I think the Flyers would have absolutely benefited from this. But, it is what it is at this point. Deal's already done. Let's just hope and pray that Fedotov turns into something decent and they can get back to being a 1A, 1-2 or 1A, 1B tandem that had success last year with Hart and Errson.
Yeah, especially as Fedotov got his beak wet and then some here to the American game. And, there have been a lot of reports that Flyers were one of the teams that were tied in on the young goaltender here from Nashville now with the San Jose Sharks. Brad, first of all, I'm glad you're feeling better. Welcome back. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Definitely. Did Danny B drop the ball? As Brian is ensuing.
I'm not so sure he did or not. You know what? They have a lot of goaltending prospects, and I just think at this point, I think they feel like they've got a lot of guys that they want to look at in goal before they go looking to trade outside the organization. You don't really know. The guy's top save percentage so far in the minor leagues is .911. It's not like you're getting a guy who's, .940 in the AHL. I mean, he's got a lot of ability. We know that, but he's still an AHL goalie. It's not like he's played half a season and, he's proven he can play in the NHL. We don't know that. And I'll be honest with you, I think they're better off saving their assets and going in when they have a chance to really, really, lay down the wood. I don't know what San Jose wanted from the Flyers, and that probably has a lot to do with what's going on. Who
the
heck
cost was reportedly to be high.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they probably wanted the moon, the sun, and the earth for him. And you know what? I'm not giving up a guy who's a lot of talent for a guy who's played 2 games in the NHL and not 2 full games either. He came in relief. So I don't think that the Flyers committed egregious error here. I think you guys should trust Danny enough right now. I think he's made all the right moves to trust his judgment and to let things play out. Keep your assets and wait for the right deal to come along.
And he has been building up quite a pipeline of young goaltenders, so there is some credit to that. Let me give some love to the fam here. Petey Evans chiming in. Yo, fam. They've done a lot of great things, but this would have been the cherry on top. A lot of fans were calling for Danny to make a move. Maybe if you could have traded off, highly talked about trade bait, Scott Lawton, and a pick to get this deal. But I think we don't know exactly, to Brad's point, what Nashville was asking for. But I think according to Anthony DeMeo, he was saying that the price was pretty high. I'm sorry, Anthony DeMarco from Stick to Pod Stick to Hockey Pod. The Philly did have interest in Yaroslav Askarov and were willing to be competitive in the market for him. The ask from Nashville did not make sense for the Flyers to give up. Maybe I could share that with you, Brian, when I get a chance. We can post that up. But
yeah, absolutely.
Priz is chiming in and he's saying, I'm at like a 75% approval rating on Danny right now. Not drafting Constant. I know he loves Constant. I do too a little bit. Yeah. Not trading or being in on Askarov. Not trading some bets to push this team further into rebuild mode. Still too good. Prism's been saying this for weeks. Again, on top of the trending articles, trending topics here in NHL. He eats, breathes, and shits hockey. And there is, I could see that the Flyers, fan base were really looking for him to make a move this offseason to further along this rebuild, to not be married to the past, to continue the rebuilding process. I'm not one of them, though. Boys, I disagree to the poll tonight. I'm going based on what DeMarco had to say. The Predators' asking price was too much, so it doesn't make sense to me. Is Askarov extremely talented? Absolutely. If the Flyers are goalie away from being a legit contender right now, then I would have considered it. But I feel that goalie is already in their pipeline. We just don't know who will rise to the occasion quite yet. There's a lot of players that are willing to throw their hat in the ring, but I believe competition will be good, especially in a John Tortorella-led club. And giving up top prospects and or picks, I feel would have been more detrimental to the Flyers rebuild as opposed to the Sharks and where they're at right now, who I feel are further off than Philly.
Yeah, but I mean, I get Brad's point. There's a lot of question marks with Askarov, but I mean, these guys that are coming over from Russia, these goaltenders, they're a different breed of human being. Yeah, so I mean, like all the same questions were asked about Shesterkin. and Vasilevsky, and I'm sure there's others that I'm blanking on, but they're the two big ones.
Right. Yeah,
I'm not
but
worried about Askarov. And there's, I mean, you have two huge question marks in net that are scheduled to be your starters this year.
I think Errson has proved his weight in salt at this point. He's proven that he could carry this team, which Flyers are not in playoff position if it's not for Samuel Errson. Let's face facts right now. So I mean, I believe he has a stronger glove in the ring in this based on performance, whereas it's a lot to trade for a guy that we've seen very limited play on the NHL level. It's a lot of guesswork, right? Will his performance in the juniors translate? Well, even if it does, I like Brad's point. 9/11 is not it's good, but it's not wowing my socks off. A 2.58 to a 3.0 in juniors, that's a little more impressive. But I'm still not like, if it's a generational guy, I should expect that to be in the ones when he's playing against lesser talent. And then, of course, maybe you get exposed on the NHL level and then you catch up when you're in your prime as a 27 to 28-year-old hockey goaltender.
Rob, Igor, and I don't know about the other guys, okay? But Igor, when he was in Russia, had a .930 save percentage, okay? When he played in the AHL, he had a .930 goals against percentage. So I mean, the save percentage. So I mean, there's something to that. There's a lot more going on there than what Askarov has showed. So
Sure.
there's something to be said. We all knew about how good Igor was going to be. And when they first brought up Georgiev, everybody thought, oh, well, Georgiev is, this and Georgiev is that. And the smart money was that he's not your goalie, guys. We got a better one that's still in the KHL right now.
Right.
And you got it. You can't tell with goalies. You know how many goalies look great in the minors and then just never really worked out to be as good as they should have. Plus, a lot of them take a while to mature too. I know the kid's only 22. How do you know the guy's not going to be good till he's like 27 or 28?
Right. And he'll take off from these numbers we're seeing in the minors. I agree with you.
Yeah. What do you think his goals against average is going to be and his save percentage is going to be with San Jose? They still stink. I know they made a few decent acquisitions, but let's be honest, okay? They're going to give up 3 to 4 goals every game. He's going to face 40 shots a night. Nothing's going to change in San Jose this year, okay? Yeah. They got a lot of young players, but they are still a very disorganized defensive hockey team.
We'll take a deeper look at that absolutely later in the show. But let's just, Danny B, he lost a key member of this goaltender pipeline that he's built here in Philadelphia with the whole Carter Hart situation. And if you look at the deal, and this is to Brian's point, right, that the Sharks gave up in order to ascertain Askarov's services. The Sharks sent Vegas a first-round pick that they acquired in the deal that they sent to Vegas, to the Golden Knights for Thomas Hertl, along with forward David Edstrom and goalie Magnus Krona to Nashville for Askarov, and then a 2025 third-round pick to go, supplement for the first-round pick that they're giving up, and that was previously owned by Colorado, and then forward Nolan Burke is a throw-in. If Vegas picks is in the top 10, San Jose does have the option, though. They can go to their own first-rounder to the Preds instead and keep the higher-round pick. So, if you look at that trade package, that wasn't a lot to get it done.
It wasn't.
They had to get rid of him, though.
That's exactly it, Brad. Nashville had zero leverage.
They painted themselves into a corner by signing Scott Wedgwood. And I understand why they did it, because they consider themselves a now team, and they don't want to be trying to break in a new goalie when they're trying to win the Stanley Cup. I get that. And they wanted a guy who would accept his role and not get a lot of ice time. That's why they signed Wedgwood. I get it, but it's really a tough situation, and they had to do the kid right and trade him. I mean, they had to.
Right. In an article I read, the Sharks general manager Mike Greer came out and goes, the goalie was a little bit of a missing piece in that age group. So to me, it makes sense why San Jose jumped and Philly didn't, because I feel they had the greater need for, a youngster in the pipeline. Like they have older, but they needed someone, that could be the potential future of this franchise that could weather the storm that they're going to go through.
He's going to have to, you know how mentally tough that guy's going to have to be to deal with this.
It's not going to bother him. He wants to start. That's why he wanted out of Nashville. He wants the opportunity. He's going to get it.
He's not used to losing like the way they're going to lose.
Again, that's not going to
bother
him. He knows the situation he's going into. It's a rebuilding situation. He knows the situation he's going into. I'm sure he's more than prepared. This kid's a workhorse. He is a warrior. He is going to come and he's going to battle every night regardless of what the result is, because he knows this is his team now. He doesn't have to worry about UC Saros. He doesn't have to worry about Scott Wedgwood. He's going to have a decent mentor in Mackenzie Blackwood. This is a great situation for him, and I think I'm going to be blunt by saying I think he's well aware of that. And he's going to come out and he's going to play every night. He knows this team's a bottom feeder. They were the bottom 3 the last, 4 years? I don't think he's expecting much different, but for damn sure he's going to go out there and play his ass off. And he's going to put this team in a much better situation to play. Granted, defense still needs a little bit of work. Sam Dickinson's probably not going to get the start opening night. He might get a few games before getting sent back to juniors, but San Jose put themselves in a very good situation by making this trade. And I still think the Flyers missed out big time.
All I'm saying is, I hope that he's mentally ready and understands not to get himself down, because he's gonna have a tough year. Gonna lose a lot of games. I mean, you don't know how he's going to take that. That's all I'm saying, Brian. There's been a lot of great goalies who've just gotten bombed and playing on bad teams, and it takes them years to recover. You just don't know.
Or you could wind up being like Vasilevsky, being behind on a bad team and then taking the reins and being the best goaltender in the world. You don't know. But I'm telling you, these Russian players are just built different. It's not like it's some schlub off the street. These guys are just built mentally different.
Well, we'll look into what the Sharks gave up. All right, so 19-year-old Edstrom had 7 goals and 12 assists in 44 games in the Swedish Hockey League last season. And 23-year-old, not exactly a spring chicken, Corona, played mostly in AHL last season, where he went 6-17-6 with a 3.49 goals against average, and he was 1-6-1 with a 4.71 goals against in 9 games with the Sharks in limited NHL time. I mean, to get that kid, I think it was definitely what the Sharks wanted to do, and they immediately signed him to a 2-year extension to prove that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's a good bridge deal. It's more, and I don't think he necessarily needs it, but it is more so a prove-it contract, I guess you can say. But this is also a team that has a bunch of RFAs getting ready to come up. Some guys are leaving on free agency because their contracts are up, UFAs. But I mean, honestly, this is this is such a fumble on Danny Briere's part. I really believe, I've been saying this for weeks, probably months at this point.
Ooh.
Yaroslav Askarov.
Benny. Sorry,
which one? Ahead. No, you're good. Which one?
916 Benny's Nation. Yeah.
Go
on. Finish your point, though. So you don't lose
I mean, again, even just looking at quick glance at Benny's, even with Kolosov, you don't know what is going on with that situation. Yes, he's on the camp roster, but that doesn't mean he has to report. So that's another hole. Bjornsson's at least 2 or 3 years away. Zavragan is up in the air. I don't know. I think he's only 19, so he's probably another year or two from possibly coming over. Askarov can help now. That's where the fumble is. He can help this team right now. he's better, in my opinion, he's better than both options the Flyers have right now. And I listen, I like Sam Errson. I was a little hard on him in his first year. I said, prove it to me. He proved it to me last year. I thought he had a fantastic year despite the start of the second half. It was rough for the entire team. But going from being a tandem goaltender to getting the reins in a situation that he was in, that's tough mentally. No, I don't care where you play. Nobody will prepare you for that. Right now.
It makes a lot of sense, but I think I would rather 27-year-old that could potentially be in his prime, and he's also, by the way, a Russian goaltender, and Fedotov, right? That's the wild part here, because right in that first game when he was inserted in the second period, we saw that confidence, and he lost it a little bit. You know, obviously there's an adjustment, but now you get a full rookie camp, you get a full training camp, you get some more preseason games under your belt. I'm telling you, right? I like Danny's just got confidence in the guys we got. Like Tommy, my guys, what's up?
Yeah. I mean, you sound like somebody I know, somebody I'm very, very close with, when you're saying that he has a full training camp ahead of him. But,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I get it. You know, let the guys prove themselves. I'm not against that. I'm really not. But I think that you had an opportunity here. You lost a franchise goalie. You have an opportunity to pick up a franchise goalie. You didn't pay a ton for him. That was very reasonable. Flyers very much could have had that deal. They could have made that deal. They could have traded Bjarnason or the Edmonton first, and I don't know, like another prospect or something. That deal could have been done.
Guys, I have a question for both of you, okay? Because you'd know better than I would. Can you compare Bobrovsky's stats his rookie year to Ersson's stats last year? Are they close? Because
I think Ersson's was better,
Bobrovsky
believe it or not.
showed some promise his first year.
He did.
Really, last year was his first year. I mean, how close are they?
Oh, I don't know.
If I had to guess off the top of my head, I'm not going to look, because Bobrovsky grew into the position, and that further growth happened outside of a Philadelphia Flyers uniform.
Because they got impatient. That's kind of what happened with that.
Oh, absolutely.
You
had Brizgalov ahead of him, and Bobrovsky wanted to be a starter.
Right.
Well, you can't blame him.
That was true
I
too.
don't blame him at all. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but if you remember, Bobrovsky played very well his first season with the Flyers. He did. He wasn't. I mean, to me, he looked like a guy that if you would have given him a chance, he would have been pretty darn good. And he ended up being good, just with another team. You don't want that to happen with Errson. You want to know for sure. Because don't forget, that was his first year last year. This year, at least now, you're going to settle things with the goaltending in training camp. He's probably going to be your number one, but at least you know that there's going to be somebody to come off the bench to help him out, that it's not going to be all on him.
Yeah, Bobrovsky's numbers in his rookie
year. Igor doesn't
year.
play every week, Brian.
Right, yeah. I'll say that again, Brad?
Even Igor doesn't play every night.
Yeah, you do need a tandem in this days in NHL.
Yeah, look at they got quick, and that made a huge difference for him, because he only had to play like 50-55 games.
Right.
You know, if you can kind of limit Ersson's games to a reasonable number of games, they'll probably end up being a lot sharper and a lot better. I mean, it was a long season for him, you know, and finally, the fact that they weren't scoring a lot, you know, and every goal that he gave up just made it that much tougher for the team to score. That was a lot of pressure, you know, and in a big spot at the end of the season, they couldn't score on the Capitals, and they should have been able to. You know, and you know, he gives up one goal, and it's like, you know, oh my God, we're gonna lose. We could lose 1-0. I mean, that's kind of what was ending up happening at the end of the season. They just weren't scoring for him.
Yeah, Priz is making legit point after legit point, but I got to eat some crow. Bobrovsky's rookie season, 915 save percentage, 259 goals against. That's 52 game starts, right? Now, next year, to Brian's point, he only got 25 game starts and 29 games played because of, you know, the difference, you know, they wanted to go Briz's way. And, yeah, the goals against went up, 302, though, still solid, and an 899. Errson had an 899 in his rookie season, and that actually went down to 890 last season. I forgot there was that swoon, but did have a 282 goals against average, which is, in the ballpark in between the two that Bobrovsky posted here. But as we see, Bobrovsky is a different breed, a different animal. I like Frizz's 1 point here. 27-year-old is great for win now mode. 22-year-old for rebuild. That's why it's confusing.
Yeah. And he's a big question mark. He is. I mean, again, I'm putting this out. I'm going to say this. So small sample size, very small sample size. Fedotov looked terrible in his 3 games for the Flyers last year, especially that game against Buffalo. He looked like he never played goalie ever in his career against Buffalo. It was bad. At least with Askarov, you have an excuse. He's 22. I mean, you saw that excuse with Fedotov, but I mean, again, win now or rebuild. It just kind of seems like Danny is selecting, let's try and win now. While I think it's more of a retool sometimes. It feels.
I think you're just building on various levels because it's not like he's just focused on older guy. You know what I mean? You still have Bjarnson, you still have hopefully Yaroslav, you know what I mean? Even if, however that situation works out, hopefully there's a compromise where if he does play in the KHL, you still get him when he's 23-year-old or 24-year-old, which is still darn pretty young. But the one true winner in this deal, though, in my opinion, boys, is Nashville Predators. Because after this deal, they now have 3 first-round picks in the 2025 draft because they previously acquired one from Tampa Bay back in 2023 for, what was his name, Tanner Janot?
Tanner Janot. Yeah.
Wow.
Good for them.
Forgot about that one.
Look at him go.
Forgot about that trade. Yeah.
Look at Barry Trotz go. Get it.
David Poyle was one smart cookie, wasn't he?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then
Barry
Trotz
Trotz
took over. Yeah, he's doing it.
Now you got Trotz in there, and Trotz is a really good hockey man.
Michael Hayes chiming in. I think Vancouver has a worse goalie situation than Philly right now without Demko being healthy.
Yeah.
And Chibis, not having a full season under his belt is a load to handle.
I almost disagree with you, Mike. I almost disagree with you big time. You almost got yelled at. And then I heard the rest of your comment, and you're good. I promise.
Yeah, Benny Station going, Bob had a better decor in front of him than Sam. Can't simply rely on save percentage in that case. The quality of chances that the opposition is what is in front of Sam. Yeah, that way you look more towards the goals against there, which, and he posted a comparable under 3, which is what you always want to see, right? I mean, it's not like I said, that's what people I think are screaming is that they felt like the Flyers missed an opportunity because you could have improved in an area.
Yeah, and that's where I am. You could have. I mean, I get it. He had a 911 save percentage, but he also had a 2.39 goals against. So
that's outstanding. Yeah,
I mean, 910, 911, 915. That's all average save percentages. I mean, if you're looking straight at the save percentage, no, it doesn't look great for Askarov. But you also got to look at number of shots he faced, number of goals he let up, number of minutes that he's played, number of games that he played. If you played less than, I think you want to play in 44 games. He played 44 games last year and had a 911 save percentage. I think that's pretty damn good, all things considered. And then he's not letting up many goals. I do. I think the Flyers big time dropped the ball on not getting this deal done. And I'm not really one to say that. And for the guys who've been following the show forever, I usually don't say, should have made the deal. Should have made the deal. Should have gotten in on it. I usually don't say that. I usually kind of let things ride and kind of see how things play out. But I think for this one, I definitely think that Danny dropped the ball on this. And real quick, before we move on here, as Robbie had to step out for a quick second, we are going to let you know that, as soon as I find it, Hang on. Hang on. Give me 1 second here, guys. I don't have Maddie here to back me up. I got to do this all on my own.
It's okay. You got it. You got it.
As always, we love what you guys bring to the table every Tuesday. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn on those notifications. Never miss a show that ATT has to offer. We got something for everybody. Doesn't matter what platform you're on. If you can't catch us live, hit that sub on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcast. That's where we're at. So don't forget to hit that like and that subscribe.
Awesome. Yeah, I could count on you to do that. That's why I stepped away for a second, boys. So, all right. So the San Jose Sharks now have Askarov in tow. They also have a lot of other young talent on this team in case, you're not familiar with the last draft here. They absolutely nailed it, according to Brian. Landing, number 1 pick, Macklin, Celebrini, and Sam Dickenson in this past year's draft. And then also getting Will Smith, who was also was he a top 6 pick, Brian?
I believe he was number 4 overall.
Number 4 overall, right. And he signed his ELC this offseason. So it really does look like the Sharks are loading up. So, Brad, you already touched upon this. You think that they're going to continue to, be bottom feeders for a while until these guys get, that development to maybe potentially make them a contender for the playoffs. But could it be sooner than you think because of this Askarov deal, along with a lot of this young forward talent?
I just think the Sharks are a long way away. I mean, they finally were able to clean house last year. It took them almost all season to be able to get rid of all these guys. So I think there's going to be a lot. I think they're going to get off to a really bad start, but I do think that the team is going to get better as the season goes along, and they'll have young legs and they'll have some speed, and you'll start seeing improvement, later in the season. But I think it's going to be a long year for the Sharks. I realize they still have some veterans on the team, and they signed a couple of guys who are good defensive players too. I mean, they got our boy from the Rangers, Alex Wenberg. He should help. He'll stabilize the team a little bit. I'm just looking at some of the other acquisitions. They got Zandina, which is not a bad deal. Let's see. Gunderson, when did they get him?
This offseason? Or no? Gunderson, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, they still have a few of their older players on the team. I mean, Logan Couture is still on the team. We'll see what happens. I just think that there's a lot of. You take a look at some of the young players, like Bordelot is 22 years old. Okay, Celebrini 18. Okay, just going down. Graf is only 21. But there's still some older players on this team, and with Sturm and guys like that they're going to have to let go. I know they got Josh Bailey. He might actually help a little bit, but
give him a little scoring ability there. But
yeah, did sign Tyler Toffoli, but I don't. Some of these moves that they have, I don't really get some of the things that they did.
One of the moves was Grunderstrom in this past offseason. They traded, they got him from Los Angeles for Kyle Burrows on June of.
Yeah, I don't know how they got. Yeah, I was going to say I don't know how they got him, but he's not a bad player at all.
Right.
But I mean, some of these moves that they made, I'm like, did they get to Foley so that they could trade him at the trade deadline and get a draft pick?
No, it's just going to be Toffoli's last contract. He's signed for multi-years for $6 million a year.
Okay.
He's going to be a piece. He's going to be a piece to get this team going.
No, I understand, but I'm just wondering what. I don't know. To me, if you're a rebuilding, there's still some older players in this team, so I'm just kind of wondering what's going on here. It looks like they got some young players, but there's still a lot of veterans on this team. So I'm not sure what their plan is. I mean, they still have guys like Vlasic on the team, who's been on the team forever.
Yeah.
He's 37 years old. What's the point of having guys like that when you're in the situation?
Teach the young guys as you rebuild, I guess.
Would you rather?
Sure. They're the I guess you can say they're the two captains of the team.
But
You don't
Well, I mean, they've been on the team for so long now. I don't know.
who better to understand the organization than those two?
Yeah, no,
These
you're
guys
right.
like Will Smith, William Macklin Celebrini, bringing new guys like Ty Dellandrea. Who better to teach the organization than Logan Couture and Marc-Andre Vlasic?
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand that, but I mean, still, if you're rebuilding,
Mark Edwards, sorry, not Marc-Andre.
there's too many. There's still too many older players on this team. I don't think that they're done house cleaning yet.
yeah, you got to continue to shed some dead weight so that way these guys can get some chemistry at a young age together.
Like Cece, what's the point in getting him? I was never a fan of his in the first place. I always thought that he stunk when he was with Ottawa, and he's kind of stunk everywhere he goes. What was the point in bringing him in?
I think that was a cap floor move. I bet
Exactly.
All right,
because that was recent because they were trying to. Well, it was the Oilers that were shedding him, right?
Oilers were shedding him, and San Jose needed him.
Right. And what did they? Who did they get in the Cody Cece?
They got Ty Emberson.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right,
Well, that's not a bad.
right.
That's not a bad thing then.
Right.
It just seems
No,
like
Oilers added a
Benning?
young player to replace Dylan Holloway.
Yeah, they brought in Benning too. He's another older player.
Right.
I mean, he's 30 years old.
That's what it was. The move was. Thank you, Brian.
Yep. But you also got to think they got a couple young defensemen that aren't quite ready. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And they're not exactly paying these guys a ton. I mean, Cody Cece's 3.25 for the year. So if he plays well enough, they're going to trade him at the deadline. Benning, I feel like Benning's been there.
To me, he's a $1 million player. I think he's. I don't. I've never been a fan of him. I just don't get. I have about as much respect for him as I did with Stahl at the end of his career going to Philadelphia. It's just like, why?
I'm bringing him in to be a top pairing defenseman. That's Vlasic and Ferrero.
Well, Vlasic.
No, Cece will probably be a third pair.
Don't like it at all. Don't like it. Some of these guys that they brought in, I just, Mike Hoffman. What's the point of still having him on the team? 34 years old. There's still a lot of old guys on this team.
on the team anymore.
Did they get rid of him because he's still on the roster?
He was a free agent.
Okay, because it says here that he's still on the roster, so I'm not sure.
I'm looking at the roster right now on Puckpedia. He's not on here.
No, all right.
No.
But I like this team. I like the way the team's set up. You got your leaders. You got your veterans at Toffoli, Couture, Granlund, who Granlund kind of reestablished his career a little bit. If he has a good enough year, you trade him. You free up $5 million there. And then if you're looking at some of the younger guys, Fabian Sutherland's playing very well in San Jose. Ty Dellandrea, who was a top pick for Dallas, needed a change of scenery big time.
He's going to be a good player.
He needed a change of scenery. He needs playing time. San Jose perfect.
They have to let him play. That's one guy I have no issue with them with being on that team. I think there's too many older players. I don't think they've cleaned house enough. At least the Flyers, for the most part, have kind of cleaned house. Most of the older guys who were kind of dead weight on the team are gone now. And it just seems to me like the Sharks are going to need a year to kind of get rid of some of these guys that shouldn't be on the team right now. And if they have more than 50 points this year, I'll be surprised.
I mean, honestly, I'm looking at the roster. They got 2-3 guys over the age of 32. That's not bad. That's not a bad position for them to be in right now. And most of those guys that are over 32 are on a 1-year deal that could be moved at the deadline.
Well, they better be. They better be. I see too much age on this team right now. A lot of guys are like 28, 29 years old. By the time they get good again, where are they going to be? They're going to be like in their mid to late 30s. It's just, I don't think their roster makes a whole heck of a lot of sense right now. And I don't see that team, as I said, I don't see that team getting more than 50 points this year.
I think they finish ahead of Anaheim.
Anaheim has significantly more talent than San Jose does.
That doesn't necessarily mean they'll be a better team.
No, I understand, but I think that they have better players on their team. I think with Anaheim, it's just there's a couple of guys on that team that are head cases that need to get their acts together and their heads screwed on straight. And it's up to the coach to get that straightened out. You know who I'm talking about. I don't think we have to go. I don't think we have to beat a dead horse with that.
Well, I still think the Sharks are going to have finish higher in the standings than Anaheim will.
What are
As
you
long
looking
as
at?
Greg
How many points do you think San Jose is going to get this year?
I think San Jose could float around 65 to 70.
Wow, you're a lot more optimistic than I am.
That's because I believe in Askarov.
He's going to have to be spectacular for them to get 70 points. You're looking at spectacular to do that. That would be just an amazing. He'd have to have a goals against average, probably like around 2.1, 2.2 to even get close to that. Because they're still going to have trouble scoring goals too. I don't care how many of these guys they have. Just don't forget when you have guys, older players too, they get hurt too. That's another problem too for them. So
It happened at 19 too.
It can, but older players get hurt more than younger players. Let's be honest.
Injuries is such a that's. I'm not going to buy into that. I mean, San Jose finished at 47 points last year, and this roster, in my eyes, has gotten a lot better just off the draft. If they can get Sam Dickenson sooner than later to get on this defensive core and become their new leader, that's going to help.
That's good, but that's not going to happen this season.
No, it's going to probably happen next season.
Right. I'm just talking about this season right now. I don't see a lot coming out of that team at all. I think Anaheim's got a shot to be better than that, a lot better than that. If Anaheim gets their acts together, they've got some talent on that team. There's no reason why that team can't get close to 80 points.
They're not getting close to 80 points. They barely had 60 last year.
Right, but they had a lot of things that went wrong last year, too.
So did San Jose. I think San Jose had a much better offseason than Anaheim did. Anaheim got Brian Dumoulin and Robbie Fabry. That was their offseason. They did nothing else to improve this team. Not that they really need to really do a whole ton, but
what still. I give the Sharks credit for is they got a proven leader in Logan Couture versus who's the leader on the Anaheim Ducks team, Brian?
Right now, probably off the top of my head, it's either going to be Radko Gudas or Cam Fowler.
And Gudas certainly not very vocal. I'm not very familiar with Cam Fowler, but he has a lot of tenure there in Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
And Fowler's been there
that comes with a ton of value. That has a ton of value because that's a guy who understands the organization, the goals of the ownership, what the fan base wants, how to relate the young guys to the coaching and the speed up here, the expectations, and then you look at the talent alone that San Jose has. William Eklund's a stud. Will Smith is going to be a stud. Macklin Celebrini is probably going to be a really solid middle six player. He's going to be really good. I don't think he's going to be a stud, but I think he's going to be really good. And then once you get Sam Dickenson up here, if he can make the roster out of camp, you still have Ty Dellandrea if he can kind of find some kind of a rebound from last year. And then they have another young defenseman that we're not even talking about in Henry Thrun.
Yeah.
This
team will be interesting.
Pieces.
There's pieces that are there. Yeah, They definitely do. They absolutely do. Let's give some love to the fam. Get to some comments here. Priz chiming in. They also got Cody. Yeah, they got Cody CC in that trade recently. We talked about that before. Mike Hayes chiming in. Your Ducks should have went after him, Brian. Imagine him in Anaheim behind the net.
Yeah, they have their goalie of the future, though, Lucas Dostal.
Yeah. Benny's Nation, doesn't everyone sign Toffoli to trade him? That's bad. Comment of the night.
Love it, Benny.
Yeah. Not Priz going in, chiming in again, not just to teach them the organization, but to teach the kids how to act on the road, how to act on their nights out on the town. They're young kids with money in big cities. Wyatt lived with O. I get it. Yeah. I
That's
get it.
another good
Another
point.
problem. Another problem with Logan Couture. I mean, Logan Couture kind of is the Couturier of the Sharks too. Logan Couture played what 5-6 games last year. Wasn't he hurt all season?
I think so.
I'll tell you in a second.
Yeah, 6 games played. Well, yeah.
He was hurt
coming
like
off
almost
injury
all
at
season.
35. Yeah.
I don't know. It's great to have leaders on the team, but again, we talk about injuries. He hasn't played that. He hardly played last year. And now he's 35 years old. What good is a guy like that? I mean, you could have him as a coach, but I mean, as a player, what can you expect him to do? I mean, Couturier missed a lot of time, but he's only, 30?
32, 31, 32?
Yeah, Couture is 35.
I mean, but they named him captain, only the 10th captain in franchise history, and now they've been around for a while. They're not the new kids on the block anymore, and I think to me that's got to indicate that he's close to 100%, if not 100%.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess
injuries
I
don't
guess.
like.
Was Coots 100% when he was named captain?
Oh, okay.
He was not.
Okay. Oh,
He was not. So
no.
maybe that doesn't mean squadouche.
To me, it doesn't. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you bring in these other guys to back up Logan Couture.
You can still teach the young kids how to act on the road, even if you're sitting in the box. Did I steal your thunder?
No,
I stole your thunder. Damn it.
Okay, that yes. Okay.
I'm going on mute.
No, you better not. Oh, he actually muted himself. I'll unmute you. I have that power. Don't you pretend like I don't.
He has the power.
Yeah, say something now.
Okay.
Haha, see, told you I got power.
Damn it.
You can thank Maddie for that. We'll hopefully be back next week. But to jump back to like, you don't have to be on the ice every night to be a leader. And then again, even if you're not, if let's say Logan Couture does get hurt and he misses time, that's why you have Toffoli. That's why you have Vlasic. That's why you have Mario Ferrero. That's why you brought in Michael Granlund. That's why you need veterans on this team. That's why I have no issue with where this team is as far as the setup goes, because you're going to allow these guys to develop. You're going to allow them to develop and play with some of the older guys, and that should help with their development a little bit quicker to the NHL level. So I'm not.
I just think there's still too many.
No concern.
I think there's still too many older guys on their team right now. I do. But
like again, some of these guys you can't move because of the contracts.
I understand that. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight with this team. This team is a good 2 to 3 years away from really from making the playoffs. They're not going to compete very much this year. I just don't see it. I mean, they have a few veterans in there to try to help the kids. I get that, but I think there's too many of them. Maybe a couple they should have, and I think there's still too many. The Flyers are doing it the right way. They got mostly kids now, and they have a couple of guys out there who can be veterans, who've been around that can still play. I don't, it's not the Sharks don't have a guy like Travis Konechny on their team. Okay, they don't have that young stud. Who's the other one? Owen Tippett. Yeah, they don't have guys like that on their team right now. They have a lot of guys that are like already in their prime now that they kind of need to get moved. And I know there's contract situations that they can't get rid of guys. It's going to be a long process for that team. I think the most important thing for them was being able to trade Hurdle to get rid of that contract, because that was $8 million a year for the next 5-6 years.
Yeah, and they're paying for it still for the next 4 years.
Well, that's okay because they're not going to contend, so they'll be okay. they can move ahead.
I'm looking at the Flyers roster, dude. There's not that many kids. The blue line is almost set up almost exactly like San Jose's for the most part, minus Drysdale. Sealer's 30. He's going into his 31, 32 season. Sanheim's 27, 28.
Yeah, but these guys are pretty good players, though.
Yeah, but
I think
it's mostly kids.
I think that's the strength of their. I think that's the strength of their team. To be honest with you.
But why does it work for the Flyers but not San Jose?
Because San Jose doesn't have it. Because San Jose just doesn't have enough talent right now. Offensively, who's gonna do the scoring? Maybe Toffoli might score a few goals. I don't know. Again, Couture, I think he's a big question mark. I don't know what you can expect out of him.
Okay, so no Couture. We'll just rule out Couture. You have Toffoli, Granlund. Okay. Granlund's decent player. He'll get some goals for you.
Get you 20.
Wenberg.
Offensively, I don't know.
Brunstrom will get some. Sutherland will get some. Delandria will get some. Celebrini will get some. Will Smith will get some. William Eklund will probably be their leading goal scorer.
It's going to take a lot more than that, though. Because when you say leading goal scorer, how much are you talking about? 20, 25 goals?
30, 35.
That's asking a lot.
Is it?
For that team, yeah. Right now, I think you're talking about very young players right now.
He's 21.
Right, that's young.
Okay. So that automatically means you can't get 30, 35?
No, of course not. But I'm just saying. But you're asking an awful lot, though. I still don't. I don't think that. I think they're still a long way away. That's just my opinion. It's going to take a lot more than what they've done to get them back into the playoffs or to be looking at a possible playoff picture. You want to compare them to some of the playoff teams like the Kings or teams like that are in the playoffs. So
no, I mean I'm not going to speak for Robbie. I never mentioned playoffs. I just said they were going to be over 50 points this year.
Yeah, I don't think they are. I think they're going to be right there. I think that's about where they're going to be.
I think you're going to get 15 to 20 from Will Smith. I think you're going to get about 15 from Sutherland. I think you're going to get I think you can get 30 from Eklund. Toffoli, you could probably get 30 to 35. That's not asking a lot from a player that's offensively gifted. The kid's a stud. I don't know. Google his highlights. He can get 30 to 35.
I get that. You're still talking about guys who don't have a lot of experience in the league. I just think that they've got a long way to go. I don't think that they've done enough right now.
I'm just saying you wanted to throw it out there. I'm throwing it out there.
Okay.
This team is going to be much better than you give them credit for.
I still think your team is better than them. I would rather have your roster than their roster.
We'll find out.
Even with Askarov, I liked your goalie last year. I thought he played pretty well. I think your defense really, really still let him down a lot last year. But he looked pretty good. He looked real good against the Rangers.
The show got an angry face. Peter Miller, what's up, man?
I wonder if that was by mistake.
Maybe he's upset at Danny B.
Maybe he is.
He would have been a big fan of Askarov in the orange and black. Who knows? Pove won a match. Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
I'm not sure what he wants a match with. I would be nervous if I were you.
Probably, I don't know, some now legal substances that were once illegal that are now legal.
Is it legal in Texas?
Oh, I don't know. That Priz better know that than me, I'm sure, though.
Oh, yeah. Priz, is it illegal down there? Riding horseback?
Asparagus.
Exactly
what I was thinking. That's exactly what I thought about. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, man.
No.
Oh, sorry, Prez. That was funny, asparagus. That's great. I love it.
All right, in the last 5 minutes of the show, boys, is this the current Flyers roster that's going to be heading into camp as is? And will it be to the letter of the printed online roster, including Yaroslav?
Yes, I believe so. I believe this is the roster for training camp is set in 2.5 weeks. And there's a lot of names on here I don't know. There's a lot of names on here I do know. There's a couple names on here that probably shouldn't be. But I think this is going to be a very good roster. I am very excited for what the Flyers have in store. Obviously, we have expectations for certain players on where they're going to wind up. And I'm sure there's going to be a couple surprises making the roster. But I think this is it. I don't think anything else is going to really change until we see what the Flyers have in training camp as far as some of these younger guys go and see who goes where.
I want to see them improve the power play. I think if you really want to see them compete and try to make the playoffs, that power play has got to do better. All right, if they can at least get it up to 20%. I know 10 to 20, that's a big jump, but if 10 is pretty low, guys. I think we could agree that can be improved. How about getting it from 10 to 20? I'm not asking for 25. That's asking a lot. Okay, but 20 is not asking too much, is it?
It's not when you got a potential couple strong quarterbacks on the blue line.
Right, you got you'll have Drysdale for the whole season. He's gonna make a big difference. He's got a nice shot from the point. He's always been a good offensive player.
Right.
I mean that his only question is availability, but you know what? I have a feeling he's gonna be okay.
Right. That's the question that surrounds him. The other question that surrounds a younger defenseman is Cam York. Can he step up and be that potential power play captain and run it from the point?
I think he
can.
Well,
he definitely improved a lot last year.
Yeah, I mean, he's flourishing under John Tortorella's system. I think they need to get Rocky Thompson off the power play. I think his system just doesn't work for the players that they have. Highly talented. There's no doubt about that. But I think they spend a lot of time looking for the perfect play instead of just getting the dirty play. Rip some shots from the point. I think Cam York and Jamie Drysdale are going to be two guys to do that. I love it. I love having those two together. They're buddies. They know each other very well, and spent a lot of time. I believe they were in Michigan together at the same time too. So, there's some chemistry there already. But I want to see what he does. I want to see Rocky Thompson make changes. I don't necessarily need to see anything from the players. I need to see it more from the coach. Not Tortorella, Rocky Thompson. I'm not worried about Tortorella. Tortorella's system works fine, and a lot of players are flourishing under it. But I need to see Rocky Thompson be able to adjust his power play system to the players that he has instead of running the players through the system, if that makes any sense.
That's something that, you're right. That's something that has to happen. You can't just expect it to be your system. You have to play to the player's strengths, and if you're not doing that, it's just not going to work.
It's the warm over here.
I hope Cutter stubs his toe. What's the full one?
300 times.
Speaking of that, what about the guy from Denver? What's his name? Barkley?
His name is Denver.
Denver. The guy from the University of Denver.
No, his name is Denver.
His name is Denver. Okay.
His name is Denver.
Okay. But yes,
what about Denver Barkley?
Denver. Okay, gotcha. Okay, but he played for Denver, didn't he? Or Colorado? What college did he play for?
He didn't play for college. He played in OHL. I played for the London Knights.
No, I'm thinking about the guy who won the scoring title last year.
Oh, that's Massimo Rizzo.
Okay, thank you. That's the one I was thinking about. Does he have any chance to make the team, you think?
Nope. He's
No?
my dark horse to make the team, but I don't think he does.
Be nice to see it. Might be nice to see if he could. Boy, that would be a huge get for them to be able to get him in there quickly enough. Usually, when guys are that good in college, that's a good sign.
300 times this year, Prisoner, you haven't been very nice to me tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been hot topics. This is a hot topic going around. So,
Of course.
in case you just joined us late, we discussed how prize prospect Yaroslav Askarov in net is now a San Jose Shark. You can catch us on YouTube. You can catch the replay immediately after we conclude tonight. So I don't know. I think this is going to be an ongoing discussion throughout camp, especially if you see the goaltenders be a little shaky in preseason. So I think this will be a lot of Philly headlines. So I'm sure we'll be getting onto some of these more trendy issues as we go along, as well as having some fun leading up to training camp. Hopefully we get all four of us back next week. Maddie, missed you tonight, but thanks as always, fam, for joining us and paying the bills. I got to pay homage to our doc, Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC. He's got 2 locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. So if you're located in the area, go check out our doc and their facilities. Get yourself right. Visit them, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Thanks as always, boys. The best top line in hockey. Brad Ryer, Brian Daly, Rob Povia. This has been Flyers Talk A2D. We will catch you next Tuesday night. Thanks. Peace, fam.